Welcome to From the Shed End podcast with myself, T.Dot. As always, thank you very much for joining me. Now, before we get into the content, I just want to remind you guys that episode 61 of From the Shed End podcast is now available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, on Spotify, you can now watch the podcast on Spotify, very much like you can on YouTube. But if you're not fond or not happy to use YouTube, then by all means, you don't need an account to go onto Spotify. You can just literally click on Spotify, search from the Shed End, and there you go. You should be able to say episode 61, the latest podcast episode from myself and Theo, where we talk about Todd Bowley's takeover with Clear Lake. We obviously talked about the Leeds game that happened last night as well, and also some of the other inconsistent form that we've had across the last couple of games as well. So make sure you check that out. But if you are a YouTube fan, make sure you subscribe to this channel as well. We need some more subscribers. We appreciate everyone that's watching the videos already at the moment, but more subscribers, more likes, we need all of that stuff. But let's get straight into it. Leeds 0, Chelsea 3. Brilliant performance, I would have to say. Yes, it was only Leeds, but it was a Leeds team that was fighting at the bottom of the Premier League, looking for points, needing points, with Everton playing at the same time as them as well. And of course, Trevor Chalobah, someone who I've been shouting about for many weeks on the podcast, on the channel. For regular football, he deserves a start. He played really well, in my opinion. Reece James as well. There was obviously a lot of talk over the weekend around Marcos Alonso. Would he start? Would he be in the starting 11 after his disagreements with Thomas Tuchel? Look, at this part of the season, business end of the season, I said it on episode 61, it would be crazy to leave Marcos Alonso out of this team. I thought, the back three in terms of Rudiger, Christensen and Chalobah played really well. Brilliant to see Thiago Silva get a rest, obviously with the FA Cup final in mind. The same with N'Golo Kante. And it was just a brilliant performance. Even dare I say, Lukaku played really well, which I'm going to get onto separately. But what I do want to do is I want to talk about the first goal, Mason Mount popping up just outside the box. Brilliant start to the game for us. And if I'm being 100% honest as well, he was pulling the strings in midfield and connecting up that link-up play, making the forward runs, looking forward for the balls to go forwards, which is what we needed in a game against Leeds, who with Liam Cooper in defence have been really good with him, returning back from a big injury that he came back from. But I thought we done really well. We started off on the front foot. We allowed... the team allowed ourselves to dictate the tempo of the game. And Lukaku, he's had his criticisms over the course of the season, but for me, he played really well. He played really well. He was causing the defence for Leeds some issues. He was making the correct runs. He was in the right pockets of space a lot of the time as well. Very unfortunate. He had some obviously clear opportunities in the first half. I think an open header. There was a goal that was ruled offside as well. So, not one for trying. I thought he played really well. I do have to question it. Is this because, like I said on a couple of videos ago, is it because he's looking for that move away from Chelsea, so he has to put himself in the shop window and allow potential clubs to see what he's actually still able to do and capable to do as a number 9? Or is it the fact that he actually wants to play for Chelsea Football Club? He wants to write off this season as a bad season and come back stronger next season. Who knows? But I think the fact that we're having a bit of good form now, obviously we look back to the last 2 back-to-back games in the Premier League as well. We've played really well. We're going into a massive period now in terms of securing the top 4, but more importantly, Saturday against Liverpool in the Champions League as well. So we need players like Romelu Lukaku, Trevor Chalobah, Marcos Alonso, all of these type of players that we expect to perform really well in big games such as Liverpool at the weekend. We need them to turn up. We need them to do really well. We've got to talk about the red card. Dan James, who for me has that in him. He has that sort of fiery temperament to his game, which is sometimes it's good. You want to see that in a player, but when it comes to the point where you're endangering another player, yes, he got some of the ball, but it's the follow through, it's the stud showing, it's the fact that he almost breaks Kovacic's leg, and he's lucky that he was able to walk off the pitch, in my opinion. The manager for Leeds, was almost saying he won the ball. Correct, he did, but it's the follow through. It's the fact that we might not see Mateo Kovacic for the rest of the season now, albeit for the 2 games in the FA Cup final. But Massive loss if he's not in the team on Saturday. I thought, Thomas Tuchel said after the game that I think Kovacic was still playing through an injury, and it was the same ankle that was causing the injury in the first place. So it kind of tells you that he wasn't fully fit anyway to start on the game last night. It's a shame for him because I think he's been arguably one of our best midfielders, if not the best midfielder that we've had at the club this season. So to lose him at this crucial time ahead of a big FA Cup final is a massive loss in my opinion. But more goals. I thought, some brilliant goals that we scored. We looked like the team that we almost started the season playing the same way that we did. Looking for those forward balls, making those perfect runs, counter-attacking football, using the pockets of space, using those channels really well. And, Reece James done that to perfection. So did Marcos Alonso. I also thought Ruben Loftus-Cheek coming in to the team done really well. I thought he was a good replacement and looks like a starter for Saturday now, in my opinion. But look, we have to now focus on making sure we can secure Champions League football. Obviously, I think if Arsenal beat Spurs tonight, then we've automatically confirmed that we've got Champions League football. It's then just a matter of who finishes third and who finishes fourth. But yeah, it's hard. It's a hard one for me because I don't like Spurs. I don't like Arsenal. I don't really want either of them in the Champions League. But if Arsenal do beat Spurs, then I think it takes a lot of that pressure off Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea coming at the weekend when we've got to play Liverpool in the FA Cup final. I think going into that game, knowing that Champions League secured for the next season, allows a bit more pressure, allows less pressure going into that game. And there's a massive question around Romelu Lukaku. Do you start him? Don't you start him? In my opinion, he has to start, not just based on form, but Romelu Lukaku for me is a player who finds it very difficult to come off the bench and make an impact. I know he did that in the League Cup final when he scored a goal that technically should have stood. But I think when you watch some of the games that he's come into, 60, 70 minutes into the game, he hasn't really had the impact. And I think when you see the games where he does start, you see a lot more from him. You see a lot more energy. You see a lot more. He just looks like the player that we need to start a game. He's in form. He's back-to-back Premier League goals now. It's just a shame that we haven't seen it enough in the Premier League this season. So I think, like I said, if it's the case that he wants to play for the club, he did do that weird thing that I hate when footballers do. He went straight to the cameras after he scored last night and he told the cameras, "I'm back." So whether that means he's back ready to play football again, whether that's at Chelsea or another club, it's the reason I don't like that is because sometimes when you do it, you say that you're back, you have to back up what you're saying. And if he doesn't do that over the course of the next 3 games and then going into the new season, there's going to be a lot of question marks again over him. So I think it's a bold statement to make for a player that hasn't really hit the ground running in terms of coming back to the club that he claims to love and score 20 plus goals. So it's a massive statement to make. Will I be annoyed if he doesn't score on Saturday? Of course, you look at the form that he's in, he should be scoring goals all season for Chelsea. But brilliant performance, brilliant win, massive 3 points. We have some crucial games after the FA Cup final, which is the next stop for us now. But like I said, if Arsenal beat Spurs, then Champions League is all but confirmed for us for another season. So ideally, I do want Arsenal to win tonight, but at the same time as well, it's Arsenal and it's Spurs. So I don't really like either of the clubs. But yeah, we just need to focus on what we can do. And I think if we can go into that game now with the mentality that, we can beat Liverpool. We've done that almost 3 times this season. We haven't lost to them. So, I think the only time they beat us was in the League Cup final this season on penalties. So going into that game, which I'll do another match review for as well, it's going to be difficult, I think, for both teams. Obviously, Liverpool want the quadruple. They're still focused on the Premier League and the Champions League as well. But if we can put a dent in those quadruple hopes, then I'm sure, that will be... And if it's Lukaku that gets the winner as well, ex-Evertonian, I can pretty much see the back pages now already. So fingers crossed we have another good performance against Liverpool, like we have done all of our games this season against them. And it'll be interesting to see what Thomas Tuchel says in his match day press conference tomorrow afternoon as well. I'm sure there'll be an update on Mateo Kovacic, obviously Kante as well. Jorginho, who played full 90 minutes as well, will he start? You'd expect him to now. Lukaku, that'll be another question, I'm sure, as well. Do you leave Azpilicueta out of an FA Cup final? He's potentially his last FA Cup final for Chelsea if he does decide to move on thereafter. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And as I said at the start of this as well, please make sure you go and check out From the Shed End on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on there as well so you don't miss another episode of the podcast. I've been T.Dot. Thank you very much for watching. Until tomorrow, we'll be back with another video. Take care. Thanks for watching.